Oh, wait. Okay.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another teaching offered by Treasures for the Heart Ministries. My name is Peg. I'm the founder of the ministry. We've been officially a ministry 11 years now. We started in January of 2006. So the influence of this ministry goes out and about really all over the world, and we do a variety of things. It's a deliverance ministry, it's personal prayer ministry, it's a teaching and training ministry. Yeah, and just recently the Lord released me to start a training and equipping center, so lots of things are happening, and the Lord is blessing as well as using this ministry, and I give Him all the honor and the glory and praise. So today's teaching might turn out to be two parts, but we'll see. But it's called The Eyes of the Lord. And I'm always curious about things in Scripture that, you know, just like that, the eyes of the Lord. So let me share a few things with you here. Let me talk about the human eye first. We know that God made everything, which means He made every one of us. We do know that our fingerprints, everybody's fingerprint is different. That's how you can be identified from anybody else on the earth at any time. We know that every snowflake is a different configuration when you look at it, because it's done by the Lord, and that's His creative way. Well, our eyeball is another part of the body that is very, very unique, and everybody's iris is different, turns out, just like your fingerprint is different. And so when you see these places where you go to work, or sometimes in movies they'll scan their eye, well, it's to identify whether they have a right to be in that room or go into that building or whatever, just like your fingerprint. So, some interesting things about our eyes, the eyes that the Lord made. Excuse me. Your eyes start to develop 2 weeks after you're conceived. The entire length, I thought this was interesting, the entire length of your eyelashes, excuse me, shed by a human in their life is over 98 feet. Excuse me, with each eyelash having a lifespan of about 5 months. So every 5 months your eyelashes recycle, so that's 2 to 3 times a year. And then if you put them end to end, over the course of your average life, they'd be 98 feet long. Interesting. Your eyeballs stay the same size from birth to death, while your nose and your ears continue to grow. An eye is composed of more than 2 million working parts. It's one of the most intricate, probably other than the brain, part of your body. Only 1/6 of the human eyeball is exposed to the light or any kind of object. It's well covered and cared for by your eyelashes, your eyebrows, and your eyelids. The human eye weighs approximately just under an ounce and is about 1 inch across. The eye cannot be transplanted. It's one of the organs in our body that you cannot transplant. It has more than 1 million nerve fibers connected to each eye to the brain. So because of that uniqueness of the eye, that's why they can't, because there's just too many nerves and all that involved in it. 80% of our memories are determined by what we see. 80% of the vision problems worldwide are avoidable or even curable. 80%, that's a lot, unless you're blind or have a condition that makes you blind. It can be corrected with glasses or whatever. Humans and dogs are the only species known to seek visual cues from another individual's eyes. So ever notice how your dog just looks at you? My friend's dog was looking at me this morning, just turning her head, looking so loving, and like, oh, where are you going? What's happening today? We do the same thing. We watch people's body language and all that. The fingerprint has 40 unique characteristics to it, but the iris of your eye has 256 characteristics. 80% of what we learn is through what we see. And eyes are the second most complex organ after your brain. Here's a few other things I found that were interesting. Eye muscles are the strongest in your body. All of us have blind spots in our eyes. Thought that was interesting because the Bible even talks about that. There are things about ourselves that we typically might miss. The other people might see it, but we don't. But we actually have blind spots in our very eye. The eye requires no rest. We blink approximately 25,000 times a day. We blink about 17 times a minute. Your retinas actually receive the outside world upside down, but your brain turns it right side up. Our peripheral vision, I didn't know this, is almost black and white. It loses the color part, I guess. Your tears are of different composition. If you're crying because you're sad, the composition will be different than when you yawn and you create a tear, or when there's an irritation of something in your eye. The eye can distinguish about 10 million different colors, and it is at a rate of 576 megapixels. You know, they talk about your television screen, how many pixels. That's a lot of pixels. Bees have 5 eyes, dolphins sleep with one eye open, and cats have 3 eyelids. There you go. How's that for interesting things to learn about the eyes? So the eyes of the human are very complex. So what would be the eye of the Lord? Since it talks quite a few scriptures on the eyes of the Lord, how he's watching and all that. Here's some scriptures for you about the eyes of the Lord. Habakkuk 1:13 says, your eyes are too pure to approve evil, and you cannot look on wickedness with favor. Why do you look with favor on those who deal treacherously? Why are you silent when the wicked swallow up those more righteous than they are? Psalm 32:8 says, I will instruct you and teach you in the way which you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. The Lord's watching us all the time. Psalm 33:18, behold, the eye of the Lord is on those who fear him. Here's another clue. Fearing him, having a proper fear of him. On those who hope for his loving kindness. Job 34:21 says, for his eyes are upon the ways of a man, and he sees all his steps. So again, God's eyes are watching us. 1 Samuel 16:7 says, but the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at his appearance or at the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For God sees not as a man sees. For a man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. We'll do a whole teaching just on that, how God sees us and how we see ourselves, and those are 2 different looks. Proverbs 15:3, the eyes of the Lord are in every place, watching the evil and the good. So if you ever wonder why God's not doing something about a situation in your life that is people attacking you or whatever, always remember in Proverbs it says he's watching the good and the bad. He's seeing what's done. I've even heard the Lord tell me, don't you know, I see what's going on in some situations in my life that are not right, and I wish were different. But 1 Peter 3:12, for the eyes of the Lord are toward the righteous. Another clue. We have fear, righteous, he's always watching, and his ears attend to their prayer, but the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. So he turns his eyes away from that evil. Genesis 6:8, but Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. 2 Corinthians 8:21, for we have regard for what is honorable, not only in the sight of the Lord, but also in the sight of men. So those are just a few of the scriptures. There are a lot of them. But with this whole idea of eyes, we find in Revelation 4:7 and 8, the Lord talks about the cherubim and how they have eyes all around their head, which is kind of funky to figure out what that all looks like and what's going on. But it would appear, I guess, you might say common sense, if the Lord is watching us, then the angels are watching us, because we know in Hebrews there's a host of witnesses watching us So there's a lot of looking going on out there. Let's put it that way. In Zechariah 3:9, very interesting scripture, it says, "See the stone I have set in front of Joshua. There are 7 eyes on that one stone, and I will engrave an inscription on it." So I got to looking around, because another verse I'll quote here before I go on to this. Revelation 5:6, John says, "I saw a lamb having 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God." So I started doing a little looking into the spirits of God, and real quickly it fits the menorah, and maybe I'll do a teaching on that at some point when I give you a picture of the menorah. And it has 7, it's a 7-branch candlestick. And so each of those branches represent one of the spirits of God. So the middle shaft, and you find this in Isaiah 11:1-4, it lists these 7 spirits of the Lord. The middle shaft is actually the Spirit of the Lord. And then if you start to the left, there'll be 3 shafts, and then there'll be 3 shafts to the right of that. You have the Spirit of understanding, the Spirit of counsel, and the Spirit of, it's wisdom, understanding, and counsel. Then you have the center shaft. The next 3 are the Spirit of might, the Spirit of knowledge, and the Spirit of the fear of the Lord. So I wonder, do the eyes of the Lord look upon people through those spirits that are 7 that are looking? The eyes on the stone, and then the lamb that has 7 eyes, because all wisdom, all understanding, all everything comes through him, and he has eyes to look all around. So we have access to ask for wisdom, knowledge, understanding, counsel, and might, all those things, because that's what he is. But is he looking at us through wisdom? Is he looking at us through knowledge? Is he looking? Probably. And is he looking for those who will fear him? Because one of the things it talks about in those scriptures I read was fear. He looks upon those who fear him, a healthy fear. He looks on those who have righteousness, on and on. So how can we kind of wrap this up real quick before I run out of time? What can we learn from this? 1, nothing gets past the Lord. Nothing is hidden. Absolutely nothing. Because if he's got angels with eyes all around and he sees all the time, no matter what we do, whether it's in public or private, he sees what we're doing. He also sees the motive of our heart when we're doing it. Number 2, there's always an audience of 1 watching us. So even if no one's watching, which is good integrity, is to be doing the right thing even if no one's watching, but God's always watching. So everything we do, we're supposed to do unto the Lord, which means we're doing it into an audience of 1, whether anybody else is there or gives or cares. Number 3, live a pure and transparent life. Might as well, because he knows. Number 4, or just re-emphasizing that nothing is hidden. Nothing is hid. And be assured that God sees the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, live a life in a manner worthy of being seen by the eyes of the Lord. Well, I hope you enjoyed this teaching. Or maybe I'll do some more on this subject at a later date, but thank you for listening. If you want to contact us, Treasures for the Heart Ministries at gmail.com or on Facebook. Thank you.